What happens when two powerhouse voices collide in the most uncomfortable television moment of the year? What you're about to see is the exact instant everything snapped between Teddy Swims and Kelly Clarkson, triggering one of the most shocking walk-offs daytime TV has ever seen. Subscribe. Drop a comment, because this story spirals fast. The studio lights burned bright as Kelly Clarkson slid into her signature chair, her polished smile locked in like armor. Across from her, Teddy Swims shifted on the plush couch, tattooed fingers brushing the mic clipped to his shirt. The audience hummed with anticipation, blissfully unaware they were seconds away from witnessing a meltdown in slow motion. "So, Teddy," Kelly began, her voice warm, familiar, the kind of tone that made guests feel safe. "Your rise to fame has been absolutely incredible. From bedroom covers to sold-out arenas. It's like a fairy tale come true." Teddy's jaw twitched. "Just barely." "Well, Kelly, I appreciate that. But I wouldn't exactly call it a fairy tale. It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of rejection, a lot of people who didn't believe in me." "Course," Kelly chirped, nodding hard. "But that's what makes it inspiring. I mean, you went from being this unknown guy to millions of views almost overnight. It must feel amazing to finally get the recognition you deserve." "Finally." The word landed like a challenge. Teddy's smile wavered, then returned, thinner this time. "I've been doing this for over a decade, Kelly. It wasn't overnight. And it wasn't about recognition. It was about sticking to my art, whether anyone was watching or not." Kelly let out a light, tinkling laugh, one that sounded more nervous than friendly. "Right? Totally. But you have to admit, social media changed everything for you. Without TikTok or Instagram, would we even know who Teddy Swims is?" The studio air tightened. Teddy straightened. "Are you suggesting my success is just algorithms?" "No. No, not at all," Kelly rushed, even as her tone betrayed her. "I'm just saying social media gave you a platform that traditional routes didn't. The industry can be pretty tough for artists who don't fit the typical mold." Teddy's eyes narrowed. "And what mold is that?" Kelly plunged ahead, oblivious. "You know, the tattooed, bearded, soulful guy aesthetic. It's very trendy right now. Very authentic looking, even if some of it is crafted for social media." A murmur rippled through the audience. Camera operators froze behind their rigs. "Carefully crafted," Teddy echoed, barely above a whisper, but somehow heavier than a shout. "Kelly, these tattoos aren't a marketing plan. This beard isn't branding. This is who I've always been." Long before anyone cared about authenticity, her smile tightened like a wound being sutured in real time. "Of course, I wasn't implying anything. I just mean, how do you maintain that authenticity with sudden fame?" "Sudden fame," Teddy repeated, a faint, bitter laugh escaping him. "You talk like I popped out of thin air with a guitar in my hand. Do you know how many dive bars I played for rooms of 5 people? How many times I was told my voice was too soulful for country, too R&B for rock, too everything for everyone?" "I'm sure it was challenging," Kelly replied, her tone flattening, signaling a pivot. "Speaking of your voice, let's talk about your latest album. The production is so polished compared to your early bedroom recordings. It must be nice working with a real team of professionals now." The studio temperature dropped. "A real team of professionals," Teddy repeated slowly. "As opposed to the fake amateurs I was working with before." Kelly's eyes widened. "I just meant that access to proper studios and experienced producers elevates the sound. There's nothing wrong with getting help to reach your full potential." "Help to reach my full potential," Teddy said, leaning forward, voice tightening. "Tell me, Kelly, when you won American Idol, did anyone tell you that Simon Cowell and the production team helped you reach your potential? Or did they acknowledge the talent was already there?" That hit her hard. Her polished confidence flickered. That's different," she murmured. "Idol is designed to showcase talent." "And what do you think I was doing in those dive bars?" Teddy snapped. "Playing hide and seek. I was showcasing my talent to anyone who would listen years before any algorithm or fairy tale moment you want to romanticize." Kelly straightened, her host instincts scrambling to regain control. "Teddy, I think there might be a misunderstanding here. I have nothing but respect for your journey and your talent," Kelly said, forcing a smile that no longer reached her eyes. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot, but Teddy cut her off, his patience officially gone. "No, Kelly," he said, his voice low and steady. "I think we got off on exactly the foot you intended. You brought me here thinking you could package my story into some feel-good segment about social media fame and industry polish, without ever bothering to understand what that story actually is." The tension in the studio thickened instantly. Camera operators froze, receiving mixed signals from frantic producers. Audience members exchanged wide-eyed looks, whispering behind their hands. And Kelly Clarkson, America's sweetheart, daytime host, looked, for the first time in her career, genuinely out of her depth. "I think what our audience would benefit from," Kelly said, her voice wavering, "is hearing about your creative process, how you choose which songs to record." "My creative process." Teddy let out a humorless laugh. "My creative process is taking every rejection, every dismissal, every person who looked at me and decided I didn't fit their idea of a musician, and turning that pain into something beautiful. My creative process is being authentic in a world obsessed with selling a version of authenticity." Kelly's cheeks flushed red as she tried to maintain her host persona. "Teddy, I understand you're passionate, but I think you might be misinterpreting my questions. Am I?" Teddy leaned in, locking eyes with her. "Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you think my success is some mix of luck, algorithms, and the right producers. Like you can't quite believe that someone who looks like me coming from where I come from could actually have something real to offer." A hush fell over the studio. Equipment hummed. Someone coughed. Phones quietly slid out of pockets. The interview had stopped being an interview minutes ago. This was now a reckoning. Kelly's mask cracked. "Teddy, that's unfair. I've interviewed hundreds of artists. I've always been supportive of different paths to success." "Supportive," Teddy repeated, incredulous. "In the last 10 minutes, you've implied my success is accidental. My authenticity is fabricated. My early work was amateur, and my talent needed professional intervention to be worth anything. If that's your idea of supportive, I'd hate to see what you call hostile." Not a breath moved in the audience. "Wait for the clip." Viral moment stillness. Kelly tried to regain control. "I'm trying to talk about your career trajectory. If you take every question as a personal attack, maybe you're not ready for this level of media attention." The studio gasped as one. Even the boom mic dipped. Not ready for this level of media attention. Teddy stood slowly, towering over the set. "Let me get this straight. I'm not ready because I won't sit here and let you diminish everything I've worked for." Kelly winced, but instead of retreating, she pushed back. Artists at this level need to handle tough questions and different perspectives without getting defensive. Tough questions. Teddy shot back. "Asking about my music or craft would be tough questions. What you're doing is trying to rewrite my story to fit whatever narrative makes you comfortable." Kelly stiffened in her chair. "I'm helping viewers understand your journey, or helping yourself understand how someone like me succeeded without going through the system that validated you." Teddy snapped. Kelly's expression shifted shock, anger, and a flicker of panic, fighting for space. "That is completely out of line," she said. "Teddy, is it?" Teddy began pacing, hands slicing the air. Because from where I stand, it seems like you can't wrap your head around artists who don't need a competition show, or industry gatekeepers, or permission from people like you to make music that matters. People like me. Kelly shot back, her voice rising. What is that supposed to mean? It means people who think success has to look one way, come through one system, be stamped with one kind of approval. People who are so locked into their version of how the industry works that they can't see talent when it doesn't fit their mold. The audience leaned forward, transfixed and unable to look away. You know what, Teddy? Kelly burst out. I've hosted this show for years. I've made artists feel welcome, celebrated their success, given them a platform. If you can't appreciate that, maybe the problem isn't with my questions. Teddy stopped pacing, turned toward her. Make artists feel welcome. He said quietly, Kelly, you've spent this entire interview trying to convince me and everyone watching that my success is somehow illegitimate, that my authenticity is fake, that my talent isn't real without professional polish. If that's your idea of making someone feel welcome, I'd hate to be your enemy. Kelly shot to her feet before she could stop herself, abandoning any pretense of calm. You're putting words in my mouth, Teddy? I never said any of those things. You didn't have to say them directly, Teddy fired back. Every question was crafted to undermine something. Every comment loaded with the assumption that I'm somehow less legitimate than artists who came up through the right channels. That's paranoid and ridiculous, Kelly snapped, her voice echoing off the studio walls. I ask similar questions to all my guests about their journey and process. Do you? Teddy's eyes burned. Do you ask Taylor Swift if her success is just algorithms? Do you ask John Legend if his early work was too amateur? Do you ask any mainstream pop star if they're not ready for media attention when they push back on you? Kelly opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. That's not a fair comparison, and you know it. Why isn't it fair, Kelly? Teddy pressed. Because they fit your idea of what a successful artist looks like. Because their path makes sense to you and mine doesn't. The producers were practically performing semaphore behind the cameras now, but neither of them noticed. The audience sat in stunned silence watching daytime television implode in real time. Now you're being incredibly unprofessional, Kelly shot back, her voice trembling with fury. This was supposed to be a celebration of your success, not an attack on me as a host. Unprofessional. Teddy's voice dropped into a low, dangerous register. Kelly, you've spent the last 20 minutes attacking everything about my career, my authenticity, and my readiness for success. And you want to lecture me about professionalism? I haven't attacked anything, Kelly protested weakly. I asked legitimate questions about your career. Legitimate questions? Teddy repeated, stepping closer. Like whether I'm just a social media creation. Like whether my music needed professional intervention. Like whether I'm ready for the attention I earned. His voice rose with each example. Kelly's face was flushed, caught between humiliation and anger. You're twisting everything I said? She insisted. Am I? Teddy gestured toward the audience, many of whom were nodding, some even looking outraged on his behalf. Because I think everyone here heard exactly what you said and how you said it. Kelly scanned the room, desperate for anyone to defend her. But all she found were uneasy faces and downward glances. Even her production team looked like they were slowly backing out of the blast radius. This is my show, Teddy, Kelly said finally, her voice tight with panic, disguised as authority. I've been nothing but welcoming and supportive. If you can't see that, maybe you should reconsider whether you want to be here. The words struck the room like a challenge no one expected her to make. Teddy stared at her, breathing steady, controlled, surgical. You know what, Kelly? He said at last, his voice unsettlingly calm after so much heat. Maybe I should reconsider. The bottom dropped out of the studio. Kelly's eyes widened. "Teddy, don't be dramatic. We can work through this." "Work through what, Kelly?" Teddy asked, unhooking his mic with slow, deliberate movements. "Your inability to respect what I've built? Your need to twist my story into something you find palatable?" "Teddy, please," Kelly said, panic finally breaking through her professionalism. "You're misunderstanding my intentions. I brought you here because I believe in your talent." Teddy froze mid-motion and looked at her with something like pity. "No, you brought me here because I'm trending, because I'd get you views and engagement. Don't mistake that for belief." "That's not true," Kelly whispered, but the conviction was gone. "I genuinely wanted to share your story, my story." Teddy let out a hollow laugh. "Kelly, you haven't asked me a single thing about my story. Not about the music that saved my life. Not the fans who held me up. Not the struggles behind every song. You've been too busy figuring out how to shrink everything I am into a neat little daytime narrative." The audience was spellbound. Some still recording, some staring mouths open. Even the band looked like they'd forgotten how to blink. Kelly finally cracked. "I don't understand why you're being so hostile. I've always supported artists from all backgrounds." Backgrounds. Teddy's voice was sharp as a blade. "Kelly, you've made it crystal clear that you don't consider my background legitimate." Teddy's words cut cleanly through the trembling air. "Every question you've asked today has tried to explain away my success instead of celebrate it." "I never said your background wasn't legitimate," Kelly insisted. But even she seemed to hear the hollowness in her own voice. "You didn't have to say it." Teddy finally loosened the last clasp of his microphone. "When you suggest social media is the only reason people know my name, you're saying my music can't stand on its own. When you imply my early work only mattered after professional polish, you're saying I wasn't enough. When you question whether I'm ready for attention, you're saying I don't belong." Kelly looked wildly toward her team, hoping for rescue. None came. "Teddy, I think you're reading way too much into." "Casual interview questions. Casual." Teddy laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Kelly, nothing about this was casual. Every question had a hook in it. This wasn't an interview. It was an interrogation." The studio fell into an eerie silence. Kelly's face cycled through panic, anger, calculation, till she reached for the one thing she thought would end the discussion. "You know what, Teddy?" she said tightly. "Maybe this reaction is exactly why some people in the industry have concerns about working with you. Maybe this attitude is why you had to build your career outside the traditional channels." The words detonated across the set. Gasps, shifting chairs, even the camera operators stiffened. Teddy went completely still. "There it is," he said softly. "The real Kelly Clarkson. Not the supportive host. Not the champion of artists. The one who thinks pushing back on her narrative means there's something wrong with me." Kelly's face crumpled. "Teddy, I didn't mean it like, yes you did." His tone was final. "You meant every syllable. You think because I won't sit here and let you diminish what I built, that makes me difficult? You think the problem is my attitude, not your inability to understand what an artist like me represents." "That's not what I think," Kelly whispered, "isn't it?" Teddy shot back. "Because you just validated every gatekeeper who ever told me I wasn't good enough, that I didn't fit. That my success was a glitch, not a win." Kelly sank into her chair, looking small beneath the studio lights. The audience held its breath. Teddy lifted the microphone he'd removed, holding it delicately like it might stain his hands. "You know the worst part?" he asked. "I respected you. I thought you got it coming from a competition show, having your talent questioned. But you're just another insider who can't see past your own definition of legitimacy." "Teddy, please," Kelly begged. "I made mistakes. Let me fix this, Kelly. You can't unmake the last 30 minutes. His voice softened to something almost mournful. You can't unsay the things you said or unthink the things that made you say them. Now I know exactly how you see me and artists like me. He placed the mic gently on the table beside him, a quiet punctuation mark to a collapsing interview. I thought I was coming here to talk to someone who understood the struggle, he said. Instead, I got ambushed by someone who thinks my authenticity is a marketing strategy and my success is a glitch in the system. Kelly's desperation was now unfiltered, raw. Teddy, that's not true. Please don't leave like this. Teddy looked at her with a sadness deeper than anger. Kelly, the tragedy isn't that you think these things about me. It's that you probably think them about so many artists who don't fit your narrow definition. How many guests have sat in this chair and felt what I'm feeling? None, she swore. This has never happened before. Maybe, Teddy said as he rose, because others were more willing to smile while you diminished them. He turned to the audience frozen, filming, stunned. I'm sorry you had to watch this. But sometimes standing up for yourself matters more than being polite. Teddy Kelly tried again, voice cracking. You're throwing away a huge opportunity. This show reaches millions. He stopped at the edge of the set and looked back one final time. Kelly, I'd rather reach nobody than reach millions through someone who doesn't respect what I've built. My music speaks for itself. It doesn't need validation from people who can't see its worth. And with that, he walked off the set. Kelly remained alone in her chair, staring into the space where he'd stood, eyes full of shock, humiliation, and something perilously close to regret. The audience didn't know whether to clap or recoil. The producers scrambled behind the cameras. Kelly Clarkson, impeccable, polished, always in control, was speechless. As Teddy disappeared through the studio exit, the weight of the moment settled like dust on everything it touched. This wasn't just a walk-off. This was a statement, a rupture, a moment that would echo through the industry for years. And it all started with what Kelly thought would be a simple, supportive interview. What do you think? Was Teddy right to walk off, or should he have stayed and tried to work things out? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and make sure you subscribe for more stories that show what really happens when the cameras are rolling.